JT back with another review. I've got the 502. I don't know how Jay Hayes does this. Hold on. 502 by Raven's Moon and Jay Hayes. So let's jump down to the deck and let's flip it. Yeah, you know. We are back down on the deck. We flipped it. I don't know. And we have the 502 by Jay Hayes. We're going to unbox this thing. It's actually my first time unboxing it. I normally unbox everything first and then re-put it back together on most of my reviews. But this time's a little different because how nice this is. I don't want to mess up any of the presentation. So we're going to unbox it right now. Beautiful. It looks like a little container. This side up, fragile. Pretty sure that's what is that? Fragile. That's sounds like Hispanic. No, French. Fragile. There you go. There you have the RDA sitting beautifully in there. We're gonna go over it. We're gonna break it, pop it off, pop it off, pop it off, pop it off. All right. So you got really simple, just two little things inside. A little foam to cover it. And you have jammies. Now, if you know anything about Jay Hayes, he says Jimmy Jam, jammies a lot. And so he sent you a bunch of jammies. Now, notice on here. See if you can focus in on that. It says every single thing that is in this and what it goes to. This is awesome. Many more companies need to do this because, hey, I lose some of these. I lose my jammies. I break something on there. I'd rather just be able to go to a store and pick one up. And that makes it as simple as possible. And that's what he did. So that's awesome. So you got a little pack of jammies, and then the star of the show right here, is your 502. That looks beautiful. What's this? Oh, man, that looks buttery smooth. All right, well, let's break it down. Break this down. The 502 by Jay Hayes and Raven's Moon. So first off, you might look and say, okay, where's the airflow? Looks like there's no airflow on here. It's kind of hard to see, but I want to grab my handy dandy pointing tweezers. And right here, these fins actually have the holes in it which pull, actually, you can probably see it better right here. Let's see. Pull in the air, and it goes down the barrel and then out the bottom. I'd like to make a similar design to the RDA that I will be making hopefully someday. All right, so as you can see, you have. Let's look at the top cap. First, you have a neat design on the drip tip. It has kind of like a beveled circular. I think this is gonna feel good in the mouth. Anyway, you got a nice juicy O-ring inside there. Juicy O-ring right here. You have two air slots here for dual coil mode and one single slot for single coil mode. I kind of like that. Looks pretty good, and that goes right into the fins right there. So let's break it down to the beast. All right. If you can see this machining is beautiful. You don't see lines. You don't see any like little hiccups or anything like that like you'd find in a one made by somewhere in Asia, like China. Okay, so China. Anyway, so let's look at this. All right. This barrel, the airflow goes in, zigzags, does some doobly-das and deebly-dees, and then it comes out. I'm not sure if you can see that. Hold on, let's bring it up to the camera. If you see those little portholes right on the side right there, I don't know if you can see that. That's where the air comes out. So it's going to hit your coils. Now this is a vertical build, so you're going to put one leg down here and one leg up here in the middle. Now if you see that, that's also your squonk ports are on top. And then you have squonk holes down bottom as well, down in this well. It's a decent sized well. It's not really, really deep, but with vertical coils, you're not really going to need it to be really deep because you're going to be wicking from the top as well. This is a good dripper and a good squonker. It can run both ways. Actually, I don't know whether it's good. We're going to have to vape on it for a week and I'll tell you. But the squonking, the mechanism in here actually has a, I believe it's like a ball bearing and a some sort of valve basically that shuts off. So when you're squonking, it'll come out the top. When you're pulling back, it won't pull out of the top. It'll only pull out of the bottom. Pretty innovative. But like I'm really intrigued on that. I'm gonna We're going to have to put some juice in it, squonk it, and see how it works. I might have to do that without coils so we can actually see how it works. That's really cool. And then you pull these Jimmy Jams up, and then put your coils underneath here, and then your other leg here. So it'll be actually vertical. It's horizontal if I'm holding it this way though. So, just so you know. Alright, and that is the 502. Let's put a build in it, let's vape it, let's talk about it, and I'll bring it back and we can talk about it, which I just said. Outstanding. Great. Wonderful. Alright. Alright, and we're back again on the deck with the coils that I just built. As you can see, these aren't these are regular fused Claptons, and they're not like you would actually have a regular coil. Let me see if you can't see that. All right, that's a 7-wrap fused Clapton. As you can see, one lead's going this way and one lead's going that way. Normally, you'd have them both going the same way with space in the middle. But the way this is built is you're going to actually have one in the center post and one down on the. I'm trying to think what you would call that. It's not really a clamp, but it's like a little piece of steel that will go over it. I guess you could call it a kind of clamp section, which is secured by 2 screws. So what you do, real quick, I'm going to interrupt myself, is you can pull these legs off, put them back on, screw them back down, and just use that with the clamps. I guess that's actually the correct thing. Now that middle post, you can see it has like a little bit of a bolt in the middle. I have a triple tree. They come with a bunch of stuff that you can use, but this triple tree will actually work in getting it off. But of course it comes with it. I'm not going to take it all the way off. It also comes with a screw that you can put instead of that if you wanted to use a Phillips style, but that's not necessary. Now, what I like doing is I like putting these at an angle. I've seen a lot of people putting them at an angle, the coils, instead of straight up and down. I'm not sure if you can see that. It is pretty hard to see. I need a macro lens. So if anyone wants to give me a macro lens, you can. Anyway, so is putting them at an angle facing the opposite direction so it's easier to wick. I've done both. I've done it up and down, I've done it sideways, I've done it all sorts of ways, and I think at an angle is not a bad idea. So what I'm going to do is put one at one angle and the other at the other angle. All right. If you can see, I put those, finally got them in right. I had to do some tuning with them and make sure they were all nice and thick, fat. As always. Let's see what they ohm out at. Looks like 0.25. So again, a little higher ohmage than I actually normally burn at. I like hot vapes, but this will actually do quite well. I'm actually also building it to what mod I'm using it, and I'll show you a little later. And I'll actually have a review on that mod coming up a week or two, 20, 30 weeks, maybe. As you can tell, I'm not really good with keeping schedules because of how busy my regular schedule is. Anyway, so we're going to fire these, work out all the kinks. It's already crack-lacking. Probably some of the excess juice on there. And we're going to get these motherfuckers burning nice and thick as like. Alright, we're back again. I have this on top of the Asmodeus Luna. Again, I will have a review on that coming before too long. I just want to show you the squonk function of it. Alright, so push that out. See how it bubbles out of the top? What also happens is it does bubble out of the bottom as well. And then when it pulls back only in the bottom, so it takes up all that excess juice. So you can over squonk this pretty far. And and you won't have any real leakage. Now you can see there was some leakage, but that was just where I was putting it back on the barrel, and it's really good. So let's bring it up top, talk about it, and I'll give it my final rating. And we are back once again on the top with the 502 by Raven's Moon and Jay Hayes. So let's talk about this. I actually have it running on top of the Luna, Osmodeus Luna. Nice stab wood, looks good. It's also a squonker. It's a single battery squonker. That's actually why I built the resistance a little bit higher. It's not unregulated. It's not a it is not a unregulated mech, but it is not really anything but like a little basic chip in it. So let's take a puff, which I already did. Good clouds, actually, for what it is, but really clouds aren't the point of this atomizer. Flavor is. So let's talk about the flavor. The flavor's on point. Every like little notes that I've found in vaping on tanks, RTA, stuff like that, I get with this atomizer. The way it's built is the airflow goes in the top fins and comes out that bottom, so to reduce leakage. But that bottom airflow right on the coils, as the coils are lined up and then it goes up straight through the coils, just makes the flavor jump. I mean, the flavor on this is amazing. Jay is a big flavor chaser, I believe, with the way he likes his mods and likes his atomizers. It seems like he actually really, really likes that type of thing, and his atomizer really shows that. It is so good on flavor. It does have some cons to it. Let's go over the cons first. To line up the airflow is kind of a little bit difficult. You don't have anything on the barrel that shows you where to line up the airflow, and you don't have anything on the bottom to line up your actual out of the airflow on the coils exactly. But that really just takes you eyeballing it and kind of adjusting it a little bit here and there, and it really, after a while, isn't really that big of a deal. The design, the actual design of this is amazing. The top cap was a pain in the ass to get off at first, and every now and again, it's a pain in the ass to get off. You just got to get a fingernail in there and work it off. But after you get some juice in it, it comes on and off pretty simply. But I actually really like this drip tip too. It has kind of like a bevel design to it, where it actually it just feels good on lips, you know? And I can't take that away from anybody. Feeling good on lips is feeling good on the lips. That's what she said. Anyway, I've run this in squonk mode and drip mode. There's a little tiny grub screw that you take out of the bottom. You don't actually take out a pin because that will ruin all the internals of the actual, all the little gaskets and stuff like that that are in the middle, and you don't want to do that. But it's a tiny little grub screw that you take out to make it into a squonker. It comes in drip configuration originally, so you just take that out and you can squonk on it. I think squonking is where it shines because of all the technology that's built into it. All the innovation that's in it, it really works the best in squonk mode, and it's really made for squonking. And I think that's honestly where dripping is going, is squonking in general. But it works great on that. It works great in drip mode. You can over drip this. It will put a lot of juice in your mouth, and if you don't like juice in your mouth, then don't drip so much. One thing I will say about dripping and over dripping, you'll get juice in your mouth, but you won't get spit back very much. Spit back would actually happen if the coils were higher up towards your mouth, whereas they're on the side, so they're actually shooting the juice rockets, quote unquote, out into the barrel, so you're not really getting that. That's actually another thing. It's a very smooth draw, and it doesn't actually hurt when you're breathing in when you just drip, even if you do oversaturate your coils. So that's also another plus I like about it. It's really just ease of use once you have the coils in. My con for this, for some people, now this isn't a con for me because I've been building for a while and I like a challenge, and this is where I'm going to get to my final thoughts about this, is that it's not easy to build. Plain and simple, it is not the easiest mod to build. If you want an easy atomizer to build, grab yourself a freaking any old Vandy vape atomizer out there. I mean, they'll have easy to build. Grab yourself a Dead Rabbit. Grab yourself an Iconic. Grab yourself a Drop RDA. Now, only one of those are Vandy Vape. I realize that, but grab yourself something that's everybody has. A $30 atomizer is going to be pretty easy to build these days. Even some RTAs are going to be easy to build, like my Themis, which I will have a review hopefully coming up in the next couple days. So overall, is it really easy to build? No. Is it hard? It's not the hardest I've ever built on, but it's not really that easy. But I like a challenge, and that's where I'm going to get to the final thoughts on this. My rating on this is not because J. Hayes is I'm a big fan of. It's not because it's expensive and it's high end. This is a high end device. This is $115 before shipping, $128 I believe after shipping, and you have to buy it, get it on a list, and buy it. And I think it's really, really accessible now. I think once you put your name on the list, you'll pretty much get it because they're in more mass production right now. So would I say like new vapors should get into this now? If you actually vape because it's a hobby, or you're a really big flavor chaser and you want something a little bit more difficult, then yes, this is the mod for you, the atomizer for you. I can't. Anyway, this is definitely an atomizer for you. Now, if you're willing to spend a little bit over a bean for it, yes, I would call it a bean, then it's worth the money. It's beautiful construction, all made in America, which I'm a really big proponent of. I really, really like that. And it's really, really well designed for what it is. If you're not big on building, if you've just started building, don't buy this. There are so many easier ones to build, even some high-end ones that are easier to build. But this is made for kind of a niche type of person that actually wants to have a bit of a challenge, build it a certain different way, have a lot of different configurations, because you can actually build these horizontally, and it will work. I haven't actually tried it because I really wanted to build it the way it was supposed to be built, but coming up soon because I will be vaping this for years and years and years. I'm going to try different configurations with it, and if you follow my Instagram, I'll talk about that more. So overall, this is a really, really, really good atomizer. I would say I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10, which is a high rating and probably the highest rating. And this is why I give it this. Yes, it's difficult to build, but I like a challenge. I miss the days when we had atomizers that were harder to build on, but it just made you better at building. When I first started vaping, this was a lot the case. You had higher end, you had mid-range that were actually very, very difficult to build on, but that was kind of the fun of it. I think what I was talking about when my camera died, and that's why I left you alone in the cold, is that it's a difficult challenge to build. I really, really do like it. My rating for it is a 9. I'd say an 8.5, 9, and really the detractions I have for it is that they're kind of minimal. Like a lot of people are, oh, that's so hard to build, that's a detraction. I don't really take off points for that. I take off points for the design where it's like difficult to see where it locks in at. I think you could have a locking barrel and that would be decent, but you could also say that the customization wouldn't be as good. It does have a place for single coil mode where you can cover over one hole and then only run in single coil. I really don't see it working that well as single coil. I think you could get rid of the single coil version and then just make it dual coil locked. My own opinion, I like all the things that lock, but it works really well as it is now. And it actually looks amazing on this Dubpo. It matches really, really well. But anyway, so I think as a culture, as a vape culture, if you will, we have lost the joy of building, the joy and having the fun of building. So most people just want easy. They want something that's really simple, like a fucking tank. You just put coils in. You don't have to build. You don't have to wick. You don't have to really even worry about anything, and just go. But there are some people that miss the old school vaping, which was only a couple of years ago, and where you would build, you would make really good coils, and now even coils have gone advanced. And when I first started building, it was only round wire coils. So you might have different gauge of coils, stuff like that, but you didn't have Claptons, you didn't have Aliens, you didn't have all of these bullshit coils that you do now. Not bullshit, but they're really good coils. So I think now it will be even more fun because you have all these new different types of coils that you can build. Make it a challenge. Have some fun with it, and that's kind of what I really, really do like about the 502. It's a little bit more difficult to build, but when you build it right, the flavor you get from it is amazing. It's really, really, really good. So the cons I really have for it are pretty minimal. The cons I have for it is really the airflow. You can't see exactly where the airflow is. You kind of have to gauge it, which isn't really that big of a deal, but I might deduct a point for that. The L-rings are really tight. It's really not a point deduction because almost every one it is, they just got to get them juiced up. But I mean, the construction of it, everything, little thing of it, like all the little details about it were really, really thought out. And that's one thing I like seeing in atomizers. There's a couple more atomizers that I'm going to be getting very soon in the mail that you can see that a lot of thought went into it. A lot of R&D went into it. Now, I don't know how long Jay Hayes took to make this, but I'm fairly sure it took over a year, maybe two, trying to hammer out all the little details to make it what he wants. And I've said this before, I want to make an RDA myself, because I'm not that big, probably won't for a couple years until I get big, or if I don't, it might never happen. But I want someone to make something like this. It will be similar to this design, and maybe not sideways coils or anything like that, but have similar design of the barrel to make it leak proof, and that's one of my favorite things. I can leave it on its side with a full tank of juice, and it will not leak. Now you can leak it out the top if you dump it over. Yeah, you can leak it out the side if you tons and you just start turning it. Yeah, but if you just put this in your pocket, you're gonna pull it out of your pocket and there's not gonna be juice there. And I've ridden it on my motorcycle and left it in my pocket, no problems. So overall, really, really good. It's a little bit pricey, but you know what? You get what you pay for. Not only is it just, hey, almost like a collector's item, hey, I have the 502, and not too many made so far, so on and so forth, but it's actually constructed and is well worth the money. So would I buy this? Yes. Who would buy this? Who would this be good for? People that want to challenge. People, the old school vapors that build for the fun of it too. Hobby vapors, stuff like that. But you want also flavor chasers, definitely flavor chasers. You want a good flavor, but you also want a little bit of a challenge. That's my thoughts. I've kept it real. Have you? JT out.